After one too many drinks, I backed my boss, Ethan, into a corner. "Make me work overtime one more time," I slurred, emboldened by liquid courage, "and I'll kiss you. One kiss for every time." "All right," he replied, a ghost of a smile playing on his lips. He tilted his chin slightly. "Let's start with a month's worth." Fury, fueled by alcohol and exhaustion, surged through me. With a growl, I launched myself at him, sinking my teeth into the side of his neck. My eyes snapped open. The first thing I saw was Ethan lying beside me, bare-chested. The position we were in was compromising, to say the least. My arm was flung across his neck like a clumsy chokehold, and the skin beneath my arm was a constellation of angry purple and red marks. This had to be a dream. A nightmare specifically. My hand trembled as I reached out and pinched the arm closest to me. Hard. Relief washed over me, no pain. "Phew," I breathed out. "Definitely dreaming. Didn't feel a thing." "That's because you're pinching my arm." A low, husky male voice rumbled beside me. I jolted as if struck by lightning, reflexively kicking out. Caught off guard, Ethan tumbled off the bed with a muffled groan. He looked up at me from the floor, one eyebrow slightly raised. "Awake now." The nightmare was real. "You? You." Words failed me. My gaze darted frantically around the room, landing on my bra, discarded carelessly on the bedspread near my feet. Heat flooded my cheeks. "What did you do to me?" I finally managed to choke out, clutching the duvet tighter around myself. "The question," he said, getting slowly to his feet and pointing a deliberate finger at the artwork on his neck, a wry twist to his lips, "is what did you do to me?" The livid mark seemed to scream accusations of my monstrous behavior the night before. I blacked out. I mumbled, my initial indignation deflating rapidly. "I don't remember anything." "Don't worry," he said, a dangerous glint in his eyes. "I have proof." His lips quirked upwards. He reached onto the bed, retrieved his phone from the pocket of his discarded trousers, unlocked it, and tossed it to me. "See for yourself." My hand shook as I stared at the surveillance video playing on the screen. My heart hammered against my ribs. There I was clear as day, literally pinning Ethan against a wall. I couldn't hear what I was saying, but then I saw myself grab his neck and just attack it, like a feral animal. Flashes of the blackout period started returning. Disjointed images, sensations. What I did after the video clip ended felt significantly worse. Doing this kind of thing to me. Ethan looked down at me, his expression hovering somewhere between amusement and mock disapproval. What would Chloe say if she knew? My stomach plummeted. Tears pricked my eyes. You can't tell Chloe. Ethan was my best friend, Chloe's uncle. If Chloe misunderstood and thought I was trying to become her Auntie Lily, the sheer, unadulterated embarrassment would kill me. This was all a huge mistake. A misunderstanding. Can we please just pretend none of this ever happened? I scrambled forward, grabbing his hand, pleading. He glanced down at my hand clutching his, then back up at me, his eyes darkening slightly. "Get dressed," he said sternly. "Have some decency." Startled, I looked down. In my panic, the duvet I'd been clutching had slipped, leaving my upper body almost entirely exposed. With a squeak of horror, I snatched the corners of the blanket, wrapping myself up like a tightly wound cocoon, wishing the floor would swallow me whole. "Please don't tell Chloe," I begged again, my voice thick with tears and humiliation. This was mortifying. Ethan chuckled, the sound low in his chest. "That scared of her? If she thinks I'm trying to become her aunt, she'll murder me." Literally, I insisted, picturing Chloe's legendary temper. A shiver ran down my spine despite the circumstances. "So you do want to be Chloe's auntie?" he teased, drawing out the words, his eyes laughing at me. "No, that's not what I meant. I meant if she thought that." I stammered, desperate to explain. Then, lowering my voice, I returned to bargaining. "You absolutely cannot sell me out. Please." "Fine," he conceded, though he looked like he was doing me a massive favor. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. But then he pointed again to the marks on his neck, leaning closer, his voice dropping to a whisper right beside my ear. "So, do you remember what you said last night?" My eyes were drawn unwillingly to the bruises. Panic fluttered in my chest. Ethan deliberately breathed against my earlobe. A wave of heat washed over me, my face flushing crimson. "Mr. Evans," I mumbled, using his formal surname. "I was drunk. Just acting crazy. Please don't take it seriously. So you do remember? He stated, satisfaction lacing his tone. No, not really. It's fuzzy. Amnesia, huh? Ethan's voice turned serious. Well, in that case, I'd better have a detailed chat with Chloe. I remember. Okay. I remember. I practically shouted, desperate. But I underestimated Ethan's capacity for torment. He pressed closer, relentless. Say it again. Under duress, utterly defeated, I lowered my head, mumbling reluctantly. You make me work overtime one more time, and I'll kiss you once. Excellent. Your memory seems perfectly intact. Then, he did something even more mortifying. He took my hand, guiding my fingers to touch the bruises on his neck. His skin was warm. Beneath my touch. Go on, he urged, his eyes alight with mischief. Count them. See if it adds up to a month's worth of overtime yet. The heat from his skin shot up my arm. I snatched my hand back as if burned, looking up into his teasing face, seeing the undeniable evidence of my drunken assault. The socially catastrophic moments from the previous night replayed in my mind like a horror film. I wanted to cry, but no tears came. They say drowning your sorrows helps. I seem to have drowned myself in potential ruin. I swear I am never drinking again. Finished counting? Ethan asked, watching me with the predatory amusement of a fox watching a cornered rabbit. Even in my mortified state, I could see he was thoroughly enjoying my torment. Humiliation turning to anger, I shoved him away forcefully, scrambled off the bed, snatched my clothes, and fled into the ensuite bathroom, slamming the door behind me. I took a hasty, chaotic shower, my mind racing. As I fumbled with my clothes, a new wave of despair washed over me. I hadn't brought my underwear in with me. Seriously, just kill me now. As if on cue, my phone, left on the bathroom counter, rang. It was a video call from Chloe. My heart leaped into my throat. Guiltily, I swiped to decline. Almost immediately, a series of furious voice messages popped up, Chloe's digital roar echoing in the small space. Lily, where the hell are you? Getting bold, huh? Staying out all night? And now you're daring to hang up on my video call? Do you have a death wish? Call me back now. My pulse hammered against my ribs. It wasn't entirely my fault. I was terrified of her. We'd grown up together, and Chloe, being 2 years older, had always lorded it over me like a big sister, bullying me relentlessly. But she was also fiercely protective. She'd defend me against anyone else. It was a confusing love-hate dynamic. Taking a deep breath to steady myself, I quickly pulled on my dress over my bare skin, deciding I had no choice but to face Ethan again for retrieval. When I emerged, Ethan was back on the bed, lying on his back with one arm draped over his forehead, eyes half closed. He was wearing only a pair of boxer briefs, his defined abs clearly visible. I averted my gaze quickly, feeling my cheeks heat up again. I tiptoed over and cautiously poked his arm. You know what happened last night? It wasn't entirely my fault. He moved his arm, opening his eyes to study me. Oh? And why is that? I forced a bright, hopefully friendly smile. Could you maybe help me explain to Chloe why I didn't come home? I'm worried she won't believe whatever excuse I come up with. He removed his arm completely, propping himself up on his elbows, a wicked grin spreading across his face. Explain? Explain how you ended up in my bed? Pinning me down and chewing on my neck. He was pinning it all on me. Unbelievable. Annoyance flared. Okay, fine. Maybe I was drunk and maybe I initiated the neck thing. That was wrong. But you're a grown man. Couldn't you have pushed me away? Who knows? I faltered, then rallied, my voice rising. Who knows if you weren't taking advantage? Using my drunken state for your own nefarious purposes. He didn't say anything, but his gaze slowly drifted down my body, pausing pointedly. You're not wearing a bra? None of your business. I snapped, infuriated. Where was he looking? Perv. Feisty, he murmured, sighing dramatically. He sat up, rubbing his temples as if dealing with me was exhausting, and headed towards the bathroom. You get yourself sorted out. I'm going to take a shower. No. I instinctively spread my arms, blocking his path. Standing on my tiptoes to seem more imposing, I glared at him, though my voice trembled slightly. I don't care. You have to help me explain things to Chloe, or else I'll. He narrowed his eyes, a smile playing on his lips. Or else you'll what? Frustrated beyond words, I balled up my fists and started pounding ineffectually on his bare chest. He caught my wrists easily, his large frame suddenly looming over me. Startled, I struggled, trying to pull away. In the process, I smacked my chin hard against his shoulder. Pain shot through my jaw and my eyes instantly filled with tears. Stupid, traitorous tears. You really can't take a joke, can you? His expression softened slightly, a hint of panic in his eyes. He gently cupped my face. Okay, don't cry. I'll call Chloe. You should have done that ages ago. I sniffled, pushing him away angrily and turning to stomp out of the room. Just then, a knock sounded at the hotel room door. My heart stopped. Oh no. Was it Chloe? Had she tracked me down? Ethan, meanwhile, had calmly slipped on a silk dressing gown. He walked past me towards the door, pulling me behind him protectively, reaching for the handle. Wait. I squeezed my eyes shut, bracing myself. I waited. 3 full seconds passed. No furious roar from my best friend. Cautiously, I peeked open one eye, then the other. I was met with Ethan's infuriatingly handsome face, his eyes sparkling with amusement. He definitely didn't have good intentions written anywhere on him. So not Chloe? I asked tentatively. Scaredy cat. Look at you. Ethan chuckled, the corner of his mouth lifting. It's just housekeeping, delivering some fresh clothes. I felt like an absolute idiot. Another tally mark on the board of Lily's most embarrassing moments. Go get changed, Ethan said, handing me a carrier bag from the housekeeper. His eyes lingered on my state of dress for a moment. Your current attire is rather indecent. Me. The nerve. He was standing there practically half naked himself. Hypocrite. Double standard dog. Fuming, I snatched the bag and stormed into the adjoining room to change, needing a moment to cool down. When I emerged, feeling slightly more composed, I heard Ethan finishing up a phone call. Did you explain everything? I asked quickly. Ethan nodded, his eyes sweeping over me again. I followed his gaze down to my chest. Oh, I understood exactly what he was implying. Pervert. Was this really the same man I perceived as the cold, intimidating Ice King boss? As it turned out, yes. Yes, he was. He was still the same ruthless capitalist who worked his employees to the bone. I must have accumulated some seriously bad karma in a past life to end up listening to Chloe and taking this secretary job. She painted such a rosy picture. Her uncle was gorgeous, kind, patient. All lies. Utter gehua, ho-hot ghost talk / lies. In the months since I started my internship at his company, I'd worked overtime for at least half of it. I felt physically drained, hollowed out. Oh, how I missed the simple luxury of sleeping in. I rubbed my tired eyes, stifling a yawn before I could even stretch. A new folder landed on my desk with a thud. Cross-reference this report. I need it by the end of the day. Ethan's handsome face was taut, serious, devoid of any warmth. He radiated an aura of meticulous, aristocratic severity. Seeing him like this always intimidated me. He was truly terrifying, like a domineering CEO ripped straight from the pages of a novel. Except I wasn't the cherished female lead. I was just the poor, exploited, underpaid grunt. It was tragic. What are you daydreaming about now? Get to work, Ethan snapped, glancing sideways at me. Right away, sir. I chirped obediently. But the report Ethan gave me was incredibly complex. As a fresh intern, a total newbie, it was way beyond my current skill set. By late afternoon, I hadn't even managed to get through a third of it. Despair washed over me. I fantasized about throwing the damn report right in Ethan's capitalist face and yelling, I quit. I considered messaging Chloe, telling her this job was impossible, that I wanted out. But before I could, a message from her popped up. Lily, lunch date? Noon? Probably no time, I typed back, feeling increasingly sorry for myself. Chloe, I've been working overtime since I started. I think your uncle's company is literally going to kill me. You're just unlucky, she replied. Uncle Ethan told me the company's only super busy for these 2 months. Bad timing for you. Great. That made me feel so much better. But you still gotta eat. Chloe continued. I'll head over around noon and grab us a table. Join me when you can. Okay, I sighed back. Order first when you get there. I might be late. It wasn't until 1 o'clock that I finally finished the urgent parts of the report Ethan needed for the afternoon. I grabbed my bag and practically sprinted to the restaurant Chloe had chosen. When I burst through the door, that traitorous excuse for a best friend was already halfway through her meal. I collapsed into the chair opposite her and immediately slurped down a mouthful of noodles. Bliss. I was starving. Chloe took a sip of her bubble tea, looking at me sympathetically. Slow down, it's all yours. I'm already full. Listen to her. Was that something a human being says to their starving friend? I shot her a dirty look and continued inhaling my food. Only after I'd eaten about half of it did I pause for breath. You have no idea what I've been through, I complained, my face still showing the strain of the morning. Woke up with a headache, had to go straight back to work. Your uncle is a complete tyrant. A modern-day Scrooge. Chloe propped her chin on her hand, observing me. My uncle mentioned you drank too much last night and stayed at a hotel. I mumbled non-committally, a prickle of unease returning. Ethan hadn't specified exactly what cover story he'd given her. I needed to be careful not to contradict it. Thankfully, Chloe didn't press further. It was only after I'd finished eating that I noticed her expression hesitant, like she wanted to say something but couldn't quite bring herself to. I eyed her suspiciously. What's wrong? You look like you have something you want to tell me. Lily, she started, then stopped, looking down at her empty plate. If I did something that deceived you, would you forgive me? My heart skipped a beat. Without thinking, I blurted out. Well, if I did something that hurt you, would you forgive me? You. She began. You. I started at the same time. We both fell silent, staring at each other awkwardly across the table. Chloe slapped the table decisively. You go first. Intimidated by her sudden forcefulness, I mentally prepared myself, but ultimately chickened out. Maybe you should go first? In the end, neither of us confessed our secrets. We just sat there eyeing each other guiltily, until a phone call from Ethan summoned me back to the office. As we got up to leave, Chloe said, Uncle Ethan probably hasn't eaten either. Can you take him a portion? I had them pack one up already. Sure. Carrying the takeout container, I approached Ethan's office door with trepidation and knocked softly. Come in. I pushed the door open gently. The first thing I saw was Ethan loosening his tie, the slightly open collar revealing the skin of his neck, and the faint lingering marks. I had intended to ask politely, Mr. Evans, have you eaten lunch? But seeing the bite marks again brought a fresh wave of guilt, and in my flustered state, the words tumbled out wrong. Mr. Evans, would you like to eat me? Eat me? Ethan repeated, staring at me with a peculiar expression, a slow, unnerving smile spreading across his face. His smirk sent shivers down my spine. The sorry I'd meant to add got stuck in my throat. Before I could correct myself, he shifted back into his stern boss persona. Lily, I don't appreciate inappropriate behavior in the workplace. Please maintain a professional demeanor. What? Where was I being inappropriate? It was clearly his dirty mind twisting my words. Ugh. I opened my mouth to argue, but Ethan cut me off again. Is the report cross-referenced yet? No, I mumbled defeatedly. Ethan's expression turned icy. Then why are you idling here? Get back to work. Infuriating man. Starve then. Angrily, I slammed the takeout container onto his desk and trudged back to my workstation, feeling utterly deflated. Once I had secretly admired his looks, even fantasized mildly about him. Now, his handsome face just seemed infuriatingly smug and hateful. Thankfully, after that initial awkwardness, Ethan seemed to revert mostly to his professional self. I've always been pretty resilient. After a couple of days of cringing internally, I managed to push the mortifying incident mostly to the back of my mind. Chloe's cryptic comment about deceiving me still niggled, though. I kept meaning to ask her what she'd done, but she conveniently claimed she had to go on a sudden business trip, and would explain when she returned. I didn't truly believe she'd do anything malicious. Probably just some harmless prank, but curiosity, once piqued, is a relentless beast. However, my curiosity was soon crushed under the relentless weight of reality. Overtime, and more overtime. I dragged myself home each night feeling like I'd lost half my soul, too exhausted to ponder mysteries. Worse with Chloe gone. There was no one to make late-night snacks. The cozy apartment we shared suddenly felt vast and empty, amplifying my loneliness. I silently vowed that even when she returned and confessed, I wouldn't forgive her. Another grueling day crawled by. I pressed my fingers against my aching eyes, glancing at the clock. 11:30 p.m. Already. All I want is sleep. I muttered curses under my breath about evil, exploitative capitalists. Suddenly, a voice came from behind me. Finished with your work? Sounded like Ethan. I swiveled around stiffly in my chair. There he was, standing a short distance away, tie perfectly knotted, looking impeccably put together. I shot up from my seat like I'd been electrocuted. Mr. Evans. He walked towards me, closing the distance. Intimidated, I instinctively backed up until my chair hit the partition behind me. I shrank down, trying to make myself invisible. What were you muttering just now? That low hum carried the weight of his authority. My brain short-circuited. I didn't mean to curse you. Idiot. Way to sell yourself out, Lily. So you do have energy left to curse me, Ethan observed, tapping the desk beside me. Means the work must be finished. No, I whispered, my voice barely audible. Just fire me already. I prayed silently. Please. But instead, Ethan stepped back, slid into my chair, and tilted his chin towards the remaining files. Continue. You leave when it's done. I'd only managed about 2/3 of the report. At this rate, I wouldn't finish until 3 or 4 in the morning. A day's worth of exhaustion, hunger, and sleep. Deprivation coalesced into a sudden surge of furious energy. I snatched the folder, slammed it back onto the desk, and was about to declare dramatically that I quit. I'll handle these. Ethan calmly took the folder, removed a thick stack of pages, and pushed the remaining few back towards me. You just finished cross-referencing these last pages, he said, a hint of resignation in his voice. My righteous fury deflated instantly like a popped balloon. Annoying as he was, he did possess a shred of decency. With my anger dissipated, my courage vanished too. Resigned, I slumped back down and got back to work. The only sound in the vast, quiet office was the rustling of paper. An hour later, it was finally done. Can I go home now? I asked, rubbing my stiff shoulders, already grabbing my bag. I'd barely taken 2 steps towards the elevator when Ethan's long arm shot out, blocking my path. Hungry, aren't you? Let me take you for a late supper. Gruel. My stomach chose that exact moment to betray me with a loud, undeniable rumble. Heat rushed to my cheeks. Deciding not to argue with my own protesting digestive system, I meekly followed Ethan to his car. What do you feel like eating? He asked as he started the engine. I'm craving stinky tofu, I admitted, then quickly added. But if you don't like it, we can get something else. What do you want? His hands tightened slightly on the steering wheel, eyes fixed on the road ahead. He replied nonchalantly, I want to eat you. No, definitely misheard that. My heart hammered against my ribs. I clutched my chest, needing confirmation. What did you say? I'm not hungry, he clarified, glancing sideways at me with a smile in his eyes. Phew. Relief washed over me. Auditory hallucination. I just want to eat you, he continued, his voice dropping lower. Then with one hand, he casually loosened his perfectly knotted tie, pulling open the top buttons of his shirt. His long, elegant fingers traced the faint mark still visible on his neck. Or, you could eat me again. That works too. Oh, my God. What kind of shockingly provocative statement was that coming from my usually icy boss? Was this what they call being secretly sultry? Munsalmanseo, outwardly cold or reserved but passionate/lustful inside? My brain completely stalled. I just stared at him, mouth slightly open, unable to form a coherent thought or reaction. Hello? Earth to Lily. Ethan snapped his fingers near my face. Where can we find this stinky tofu? The foodie part of my brain, apparently operating on autopilot, responded instantly. Xiaojia's stinky tofu on Linjiang Snack Street. They close at 2 a.m. We should still make it. The moment the words left my mouth, I wanted to slap myself. Who cares about stinky tofu right now? I was about to become the tofu. During the drive, I kept stealing glances at Ethan's handsome, deceptively proper face. I couldn't reconcile the stern boss with the man making these outrageous comments. While I'd admittedly found him attractive since day one, I'd always categorized him as admire from afar, never touch. A high-altitude flower, beautiful but unattainable. My intentions had never strayed beyond simple appreciation. I opened my mouth, closed it, opened it again. After several failed attempts to formulate a sentence under his knowing smirk, I finally managed. Mr. Evans, could you please stop joking like this? It's freaking me out. Lily, Ethan said, using my first name in that serious tone for the first time. His expression grew solemn. Stop playing these games. This push and pull, hot and cold routine, it's pointless. I stared at him, utterly bewildered. Games? What was he talking about? It sounded like he thought I was the one with ulterior motives. The accusation was baffling. What are you talking about? This was slander. I couldn't let it stand. You're unbelievably narcissistic if you think I have some kind of hidden agenda regarding you. Don't you? Ethan scoffed lightly. Absolutely not. I retorted, full of righteous conviction. My conviction lasted approximately 5 seconds. Ethan, with a smug little smile, tapped his phone screen a few times. Since he was driving, the phone was connected to the car's Bluetooth. Suddenly, my own drunken, wailing voice filled the car's interior. Ethan, you're so handsome. Ugh. Why are you so good-looking? I really want to sleep with you. Mortified beyond belief, I lunged for the phone mounted on the dashboard, fumbling frantically to shut off the recording. I couldn't look at him. When did you record that? I whispered, staring intently at my lap. Ethan shot me a look that spoke volumes. Around the time you were trying to wrestle my shirt off on the sofa. Impossible. I would never do something like that. If you don't believe me, you can check the living room security footage when we get back. Ethan offered casually, then deliberately. Touched his neck again, his eyes glinting. Impressive bite for such a small girl, by the way. My neck still aches a bit. That's enough. My face felt like it was on fire. I glared at him, humiliated. Why didn't you show me this recording earlier? I didn't want to embarrass you, Ethan replied, sounding perfectly considerate. I almost choked. Then why are you showing it to me now? He didn't answer directly, just looked at me with that inscrutable, knowing smile. What do you think? Me? What did I think? His behavior was so confusingly intimate. Even if I had drunkenly confessed wanting to sleep with him, shouldn't a normal person be angry? Fire me? Tell me to get lost? Why did it feel like he was flirting back? Could it be? Was he trying to initiate some kind of inappropriate workplace relationship? A quid pro quo? My mind raced with alarming possibilities. I instinctively crossed my arms over my chest, shrinking back into the passenger seat. What crazy thoughts are going through that head of yours now? Ethan asked, glancing at me with a complex expression, a hint of exasperation in his voice. Do you still want the stinky tofu or not? Yes. I snapped, fueled by a mixture of anger and confusion. Might as well eat first, deal with the potential seduction later. He chuckled softly. Then navigate for me. His laugh, genuine and warm this time, momentarily caught me off guard. When he really smiled without teasing or hidden meaning, he was devastatingly attractive. By the time we reached the snack street, most stalls were closing down. I practically leaped out of the car, leaving Ethan behind, and made a beeline for Chow Jie's stall, ordering a large portion while chatting idly with the owner. Ethan followed at a slower pace, stopping a considerable distance away, his face a mask of disapproval. Ha! He really did hate stinky tofu. When my order was ready, piping hot and pungently fragrant, I deliberately walked over to him and waved the container under his nose. Whoa, smells amazing. Ethan recoiled, turning his head away pointedly. Undeterred, I skipped around to face him again, waggling the tofu mischievously. Want to try some? It smells strong, but it tastes incredible. Just eat it quickly. And don't you dare bring that smell into my car, he warned, his expression darkening. I wouldn't dare push my luck that far. So I strolled along the emptying snack street, slowly savoring my tofu. Ethan, with his long legs, walked ahead quickly, undoubtedly eager to escape the smell, leaving a noticeable gap between us. I scurried to catch up, playfully stepping on his elongated shadow, venting my earlier frustration. He stopped abruptly, catching me in the act. I quickly looked away, whistling innocently. Nothing to see here. Childish, he muttered, shaking his head before turning back towards the car. I quickly shoved the last piece of tofu into my mouth and hurried after him. Having satisfied my craving, I felt significantly more charitable towards Ethan, the capitalist exploiter. Emboldened, I started complaining again. You know, my luck is just terrible. Started this job right when it got insanely busy. Chloe made it sound so perfect, 9 to 5. Weekends off, $4,500 a month. I sighed dramatically. Now I know what selling a dream means. Not a word of it was true. It really has been unusually busy these past 2 months. Ethan explained, his tone surprisingly patient, almost gentle. There was some sensitive company data that needed handling, things regular staff couldn't see. And Lou, my usual executive assistant, is on maternity leave. So unfortunately the burden fell on you. His unexpectedly reasonable explanation made me feel a bit sheepish. Oh well, no, it's fine. I mean, I have learned a lot, I mumbled awkwardly. This month was definitely tough, Ethan acknowledged. But you'll feel better once you get your paycheck. My eyes lit up. How much? Around 10,000, give or take. 10,000. I couldn't believe my ears. That was more than double the base salary. Overtime is double pay, Ethan confirmed with an indulgent smile. 10,000. An actual spendable fortune. My first real paycheck, and it was huge. Suddenly all those extra hours didn't seem so bad. Even Ethan, the capitalist overlord, seemed positively benevolent. High on the prospect of financial freedom, I completely failed to notice where Ethan was driving until we pulled up outside his apartment building again. Why did you bring me back here? I asked, instantly wary, shrinking back in my seat. Chloe's probably waiting for me at home. Chloe's still on her business trip, Ethan stated calmly. Stay here tonight. It's more convenient for work tomorrow anyway. I'd walked right back into the wolf's den. Was tonight the night he planned to pounce? My internal alarm bells screamed. I reached for the door handle, but Ethan had already unbuckled his seatbelt and leaned across, effectively pinning me against the seat. Trying to run away? He murmured, his hand coming up to cup the back of my head, his lips brushing against my ear. You were so brave when you were drunk. Payback time had arrived. My heart thudded violently against my ribs. I stared, mesmerized, as Ethan's handsome face drew closer. Close your eyes, he coaxed softly, his voice a low murmur. Foolishly I obeyed. A searing warmth touched my lips, engulfing me. For a moment my mind went blank, filled only with the sensation, like fireworks exploding softly behind my eyelids. It left me dizzy, breathless. You, I gasped, pushing him away, tears welling up unexpectedly. This was my actual real first proper kiss. Why are you crying? He asked gently, patting my back soothingly. You said you wanted to sleep with me. This was just a kiss. I was speechless, momentarily torn between indignation and a confusing fluttery feeling. I desperately wanted to punch him. Even if I was attracted to him, that was just appreciation for aesthetics. It didn't mean I wanted this, especially given our messy, confusing dynamic. Chloe will seriously kill me if she finds out about this, I choked out between sniffles. Don't worry, I won't tell her, Ethan promised, licking his lips slightly, a faint look of distaste crossing his features. But next time, maybe brush your teeth first. That stinky tofu aftertaste is something. Shut up. Back inside his apartment, coaxed and half-threatened, I stood defensively, arms crossed tightly over my chest, eyeing him like he was a predator about to strike. I will not yield to his tyrannical handsomeness. Ethan, however, seemed perfectly relaxed. As soon as the door closed, he started shedding layers. Suit jacket tossed onto a chair, tie loosened and discarded, shirt unbuttoned and shrugged off. He turned towards me, revealing the lean lines of his torso, the well-defined abs, the long legs encased in tailored trousers. Gods, he's definitely trying to seduce me. My gaze traveled unwillingly up his chest, snagging on the smooth column of his throat, and the faint, lingering marks there. My marks. I swallowed hard. He walked towards me slowly, deliberately backing me against the wall until my back pressed flat against the cool paint. I felt trapped, breathless. Ethan tilted his head, pointing to his neck. It's been a week, you know. Still bruised. My fault. Entirely. It's so hot out, but I haven't been able to unbutton my collar in public. My crime. Absolutely. Lily, he murmured, his voice dangerously close to my ear again, sending shivers down my spine despite the implied threat. How do you propose to compensate me? I rallied weakly. You kissed me earlier. We're even. Ethan tilted his head, studying me, his handsome features sharp, almost aloof. When he wasn't smiling, he was genuinely intimidating. Nervousness fluttered in my stomach. What do you want? My mind immediately leaped to worst-case scenarios. Him turning beastly, forcing himself on me. What would I do? Scared you? To my surprise, he suddenly stepped back, creating space between us. He gestured towards the guest room door. It's late. Go get some rest. I let out a shaky breath, relief washing over me. And yet, a tiny traitorous part of me felt disappointed. Get a grip, Lily. I mentally scolded myself. What are you thinking? Don't be seduced by a pretty face. Have some self-respect. Having gone to bed so late, I inevitably overslept and was late for work the next morning. Thankfully, Ethan showed some mercy and didn't reprimand me publicly. When I had to approach him later with work matters, I felt awkward, but he maintained such a perfect, professional facade that I ended up feeling like the guilty one. Hypocritical, smooth-talking beast, I grumbled internally. Determined not to let him see my discomfort, I forced myself to focus and slipped back into work mode. Strangely, the lure of that massive paycheck seemed to have flipped a switch in my brain. The overtime I previously loathed now felt almost motivating. Infused with renewed energy and the promise of cash, I threw myself into my tasks. However, I couldn't shake the feeling that Ethan was deliberately, subtly flirting with me whenever we were alone. Sometimes he'd casually loosen his tie, revealing that patch of marked skin, his long fingers brushing over it absently. Other times I'd catch him looking at me with a private, knowing smirk, occasionally even licking his lips as if savoring a memory. Each time the memory of that kiss in the car would flash through my mind, making my heart race. I finally understood. He was a master manipulator, an old pro at this game. His calculated ambiguity was designed to keep me off balance, and damn it, it was working. My thoughts kept straying, my resolve wavering. I seriously considered confronting him, demanding to know what his intentions were. Can't we just talk about this like adults? This internal turmoil continued until payday. The moment I saw the $10,600 credited to my account, all thoughts of confrontation vanished. My mind filled with glorious visions of shopping sprees. Bye. Coincidentally, Chloe was due back from her business trip that day. We'd already made plans to go out and celebrate her return, and my newfound wealth. Most importantly, I was determined to finally get the truth out of her about that deception she'd hinted at before she left. As soon as the clock hit quitting time, I bolted for the exit, only to find Ethan's car blocking my path. I frowned. What are you doing? I thought we weren't working overtime today. Get in, Ethan said, a faint smile playing on his lips. Chloe and I made plans. I'm joining you two for dinner at your place. Impossible. We were supposed to go see a movie. Before I could finish, my phone rang. It was Chloe. Lily. Movie's off. My uncle's coming over for dinner instead. Just ride back with him, okay? There was truly no escape. When we arrived at the apartment, Chloe yanked us both inside with surprising strength, launching immediately into a rant. You guys will not believe the partner I had on this trip. The absolute cheapest person alive. Our travel budget was $200 a night for hotels, right? She insisted on staying in these 40 a night dives. Forget cleanliness, what about safety? Seriously. Knowing Chloe's temper, I could see this escalating quickly. I quickly grabbed a grape from the bowl on the table and popped it into her mouth. Here, have a grape, chill out. Ouf. Chloe winced dramatically, her face contorting. So sour. I stifled a laugh. Is it really that bad? Try one. Chloe grabbed another grape and lunged, determined to shove it into my mouth. I clamped my hand over my lips, trying to fend her off, but she was relentless. Finally, I succumbed. The sourness hit my tongue like an electric shock, making me shudder. Chloe crowed triumphantly beside me. All right, you two, behave. Ethan interjected, surprisingly rolling up his sleeves. I'll cook. He headed towards the kitchen. I stared after him, shocked. Ethan could cook. Chloe, noticing my expression, puffed up with vicarious pride. Surprised, huh? My uncle's an amazing cook. With Ethan busy in the kitchen, it was just Chloe and me in the living room. My inner gossip hound reared its head again. Okay, spill it, I demanded, adopting my most intimidating glare. That thing you mentioned before your trip about deceiving me. What was it? Chloe laughed nervously. Oh, that? Nothing. Just kidding around. Can't believe you remembered. I wasn't buying it for a second. She was definitely hiding something. Cleverly, Chloe deflected. Hey, wait a minute. Didn't you say you had something to tell me? Nope. Nothing. I shook my head vigorously, forcing a laugh. Haha. I was kidding too. Few close call. If she found out about my Auntie Lily ambitions, dinner would be cancelled, and she'd probably eat me instead. As if by silent agreement, Neither of us brought up our respective secrets again. Soon, the delicious aroma of cooking filled the apartment. Chloe and I helped set the table and bring out the dishes. During dinner, Chloe started teasing Ethan good-naturedly. "Uncle, you're almost 30. Still no girlfriend? Planning to be single forever? Maybe I should introduce you to one of my colleagues? Mom's constantly nagging you about it." Hearing this, a sour feeling crept into my stomach. Ethan was rich, handsome. Countless women probably wanted him. Given our awkward, unresolved situation, I really needed to squash any lingering unrealistic fantasies. The more I thought about it, the worse my mood became. I poked listlessly at the food on my plate, barely tasting it, though I couldn't help but strain my ears to hear his reply. "Sure," Ethan said casually, smiling, and deliberately looking right at me. "Sure." He actually said sure? Had he completely forgotten how he'd been flirting with me? How he'd kissed me? Suddenly, I lost my appetite completely. Anger filled me up instead. After dinner, Ethan went out onto the balcony for a cigarette. I helped Chloe clear the table and took the dishes to the kitchen. As she washed the dishes, Chloe continued her gossip. "Seriously, Mom is tearing her hair out over my uncle. Every holiday it's the same lecture. When are you getting married? But he just won't find a girlfriend. I'm starting to worry for Mom's sanity. Maybe he just hasn't met the right person yet?" I offered weakly, trying to sound nonchalant. "Nah, that's not it," Chloe sighed dramatically, sounding wise beyond her years. "Rumor has it, he's been hung up on some white moonlight for years. Won't talk about her, won't let me or Mom ask. Super mysterious. He had a white moonlight? An old flame? An unattainable love?" I felt sick. All my drunken confessions, the neck-biting incident. He must have just seen it all as a pathetic joke. That manipulative older man, toying with an inexperienced girl like me. How dare he? Shameful. Anger churned inside me, threatening to explode. Just then, a phone started ringing insistently from the living room. Chloe glanced over her shoulder. "Lily, that's Uncle Ethan's phone. He probably can't hear it out on the balcony. Can you take it to him?" Reluctantly, sullenly, I dried my hands, picked up the ringing phone, and carried it out to the balcony. Ethan was leaning against the railing, head tilted back slightly, the tip of his cigarette glowing intermittently in the darkness. There was an unusual air of weariness about him. "Your phone's ringing," I said flatly, thrusting it towards him. I turned to leave immediately but still caught snippets of a feminine voice drifting from the receiver as he answered. "Ian, I'm back. I missed you so much." My heart sank like a stone. Ian, who was that? Could that be the white moonlight Chloe mentioned? A bitter taste filled my mouth. All my earlier embarrassment, the drunken antics. Ethan must have been laughing at me the whole time. An experienced older man deliberately leading on a naive girl with zero relationship experience. Shameless. My mind raced with angry thoughts, my chest tight with fury. A short while later, Ethan came back inside from the balcony looking tired. He exchanged a few quiet words with Chloe in the kitchen, then came over to me. "Lily, I have to go. Come outside for a minute." I wasn't about to obey him. I turned pointedly towards the kitchen. "Chloe," I called out loudly, deliberately ignoring Ethan. "Your uncle wants you to walk him out." Chloe emerged, wiping her hands on a towel, looking puzzled. "Uncle? Since when are we so formal that I need to escort you out?" "It's nothing," Ethan said, his jaw tightening slightly. He turned his gaze back to me, a challenging glint in his eyes. "Lily left something in my car. She wanted you to go down and get it for her." "That's not." Before I could protest, Chloe smacked my arm playfully. "You're so lazy. I haven't even finished the dishes yet. Go get it yourself." I speechless. Chloe disappeared back into the kitchen. Just as I was about to explode at Ethan, he casually held up his phone. The screen clearly showed the voice recording app interface. He was threatening me with the recording again. The utter nerve. Despicable. "Fine," I ground out through clenched teeth. "I'll go get it." I followed him downstairs reluctantly. The moment we were outside, he grabbed my wrist, his expression displeased. "What's wrong? Why are you suddenly giving me the cold shoulder?" "Let go of me." I struggled, trying to pull away, but he was too strong. He easily pulled me into his arms. "Lily, stop fighting," he murmured, holding me close, his voice softer now. "I know you're hesitant about us, worried about Chloe's reaction. But she's not unreasonable. She'll understand. Men's words are lies from the devil's own mouth. I saw his true colors now, trying to juggle two women at once. Fueled by righteous anger, I lashed out verbally. Don't flatter yourself. That night was just drunken nonsense. Did you really think I'd fall for an old man like you? Please stop harassing me. If you don't, I'll quit. He flinched slightly at my words, his face hardening. After a long moment, he bit out, "Old, aren't you?" My anger completely overriding my filter. I unleashed my inner venom. You're a 30-year-old man trying to hit on a girl barely out of her teens. Have you no shame? An old cucumber trying to pass itself off as fresh. Stop pretending. The thought of him potentially two-timing me made me sick. I poured out all my frustration and hurt, then wrenched free and ran back upstairs, leaving him standing there stunned. The next morning, I went to work fully intending to resign. But thinking back on everything that had happened between Ethan and me, the teasing, the kiss, the confusing signals, even the stupid stinky tofu incident, my heart ached with a sharp, undeniable pain. I'd naively thought I was immune, that I hadn't fallen for him. Now I realized I'd walked right into his trap, head over heels, ridiculously imagining a real relationship, even stressing about how to tell Chloe. What a fool I'd been. After everything, facing him normally was impossible. As I walked into the office, the usually quiet workspace was buzzing with hushed conversation. Was that woman who just went in really Mr. Evans' girlfriend? She's gorgeous. Reception said she claimed to be his girlfriend. Just walked right into his office like she owned the place. Wow, I thought Mr. Evans was single. Sigh, another diamond bachelor off the market. Scumbag. So the moment I pushed back, he immediately moved on to someone else. Figures. Fuming, I slammed down into my chair, taking out my anger by stabbing furiously at my keyboard. I don't know how long the woman stayed in his office, but eventually the door opened and she emerged. She was tall, elegant, impeccably dressed, with exquisitely applied makeup. Looking closer, I noticed a subtle resemblance in her features to Ethan's. Is that what they call couples resemblance? Jealousy made me petty. I decided to ignore her completely and started drafting my resignation letter. To my surprise, she walked directly over to my desk. Miss Lynn, hello. It's a pleasure to meet you, she said, extending a perfectly manicured hand with a bright smile. My name is Hannah Evans. I'm Ethan's girlfriend. I froze. What was this? Was she here to gloat? Rub it in my face? Seeing my silence, she continued smoothly, seemingly unfazed by my lack of response. Ethan has mentioned you often. You're even prettier in person. What exactly do you want? I snapped, tired of her polite bending/indirect approach. Oh, nothing much, she replied, her smile widening slightly, acquiring a smug edge. Just a friendly reminder that Ethan is mine. No one can take him from me. I hadn't even known Ethan had a girlfriend until 5 minutes ago. If I had, none of this would have happened. Being warned off like I was some homewrecker infuriated me. I wasn't about to take that lying down. You worry too much, I retorted sharply. I would never be interested in such an old man. Pfft. Hannah let out a sudden, unexpected giggle, covering her mouth. Well, that's reassuring. In that case, I won't disturb your work any further. Goodbye, Miss Lynn. The second she was out of sight, I stormed towards Ethan's office, ready for war. I burst through the door, tears already blurring my vision. I quit. Not allowed. Ethan stood up immediately, walked around his desk, and firmly pushed me down into one of the visitor chairs, frowning. Lily, what on earth is wrong with you now? What's wrong with me? I was incandescent with rage. Ethan, what do you take me for? The accumulated hurt and confusion finally erupted. I practically roared at him. Is it fun to play games with me like this? Yes, I shouldn't have had inappropriate thoughts about you. Yes, maybe I provoked you when I was drunk. But how could you be so cruel? How could you play with my feelings like this? The tears started flowing freely now, hot and angry. What am I to you? Just some toy? How could I have been so blind, falling for a scumbag like you? I won't make the same mistake twice. Lily, you said you liked me? Ethan leaned forward, his expression suddenly intense, almost feverish. He gently lifted my chin, forcing me to meet his gaze. You said you like me. You like me, right? Did I? No, I didn't. I sobbed, then hiccuped, trying to regain control. I'd had my cathartic cry, vented my anger. Now I was done. Ethan was history. I wouldn't waste another tear on him. Summoning all my remaining strength, I shoved him away, wiped my eyes fiercely and stood up. Get lost. I'm outta here. I'd barely taken 2 steps when he lunged, wrapping his arms around me from behind, holding me tight against his chest. I struggled violently but he held on, murmuring desperately into my ear. Lily, let me explain. I wasn't falling for any more of his lies. After a brief pause, I renewed my struggles. Ethan spoke quickly, urgently. Lily, I don't have a girlfriend. I snorted derisively. Right. As if I'd believe that after his supposed girlfriend just paid me a visit. Tired of his nonsense, I tried to push him away again, but he suddenly spun me around and kissed me, hard and fast, a desperate, searing heat that stole my breath. I couldn't push him away. Tears of frustration streamed down my face. You bastard. I choked out between kisses. How could you? You have a girlfriend. Lily, don't be angry. Ethan murmured against my lips, cupping my face gently. He was smiling now, a relieved, almost giddy smile. Hannah, she's my sister. Liar. I glared at him, unconvinced. Her name is Hannah Evans. Your surname is Evans. How can she be? Oh, wait. No. My name is Lynn. His name is Pei. Her name is Han. Your surnames are different. Ethan sighed, rubbing his forehead, but his eyes were full of amused patience. We're twins, Lily. I took my father's surname, Pei. Hannah took our mother's surname, Han. I stared at him dumbfounded. That explained the resemblance I'd noticed earlier. Confusion lingered. Then, why did Hannah say she was your girlfriend? That, Ethan admitted sheepishly, was my fault. And yours indirectly. I've been trying so hard to get through to you. Dropping hints, making moves. But you weren't reacting. Or you were pushing back. I was getting desperate. So I asked Hannah to come stir things up, see if I could gauge your real feelings. That wasn't making moves. That was terrifying. I couldn't help but retort. Honestly, the fact I didn't run screaming from this job already proves my nerves are made of steel. And that's because you like me too, isn't it? He countered, his eyes crinkling at the corners, looking utterly pleased with himself. I couldn't stand his smugness. Even if Hannah the girlfriend was fake, I sniffed haughtily, remembering Chloe's gossip. I heard from Chloe you have a white moonlight somewhere. My white moonlight? Ethan's expression softened, his gaze locking onto mine, full of undisguised affection. She's not far away at all. In fact, she's right in front of me. Me. I gaped, genuinely shocked. What do you mean? Lily, I've liked you for a long time, Ethan confessed, his voice suddenly serious, stripped of all teasing. Long before you started working here. I saw you occasionally when visiting Chloe. I was afraid you'd reject me, so I never had the courage to tell you. His sudden, earnest confession threw me completely. I'd never imagined that Ethan, Chloe's intimidatingly cool uncle whom I'd only met sporadically, had harbored feelings for me all along. He took both my hands in his gaze intense and sincere. It was almost too much, too fast, after the emotional roller coaster of the day. My mind struggled to process it all. That evening he drove me home. It was late by the time we reached my apartment building. Worried Chloe might already be asleep, I didn't call up. As I quietly let myself in, I heard Chloe's voice drifting from the living room. She was on the phone. Yeah, little Auntie Hannah, your performance today was Oscar-worthy. Did Lily take the bait? That little fool. I bet she's totally hooked now. Uncle Ethan's got her right where he wants her. A pause. Right, definitely don't mention I was in on it. She keeps worrying I'll find out. It's hilarious watching her squirm. Ha ha ha. My blood ran cold, then boiling hot. I strode into the living room. Chloe was sprawled on the sofa, still chatting animatedly on her phone. When she saw me, her eyes widened in panic. Chloe! I shrieked, betrayal stinging sharper than any insult. You conspired with them. You set me up. Chloe scrambled up from the sofa. Lily! When did you get back? If I hadn't come back, I wouldn't have heard you gloating. I pointed an accusing finger, feeling utterly heartbroken. Chloe! Was this the big secret you wanted to tell me? Hey, I was just trying to help, she protested shamelessly. Look at you. Never even had a proper boyfriend. Isn't it great you finally snagged someone? And my uncle handsome, rich. You should be thanking me. The sheer audacity. My temples throbbed. I trusted you. You're my best friend. And you tricked me like this. It was a well-intentioned lie, she insisted, utterly unrepentant. Oh, she was not getting away with this. If she wanted to play games, fine. I drew myself up, adopting a tone of regal condescension, and delivered the killing blow. Well then, dear niece, why don't you start by calling me auntie? Her jaw dropped. She stared at me, utterly flabbergasted. Victory tasted sweet. I pressed my advantage, leaning in conspiratorially. That's a good girl. Want auntie to buy you some candy? Chloe let out a strangled roar of fury and launched herself off the sofa like a starving tigress. Lily, I'm going to kill you. That night, Chloe and I engaged in epic warfare. It ended with me, disheveled and laughing breathlessly, calling Ethan for backup. Once I was safely ensconced in his car, he leaned close, brushing a stray strand of hair from my face, a finger pressed lightly against my lips. See? Now you get to marry her uncle. You can make her call you auntie for the rest of her life. You definitely came out on top. He had a point. Realizing this, a triumphant grin spread across my face. I started humming happily, feeling smugly victorious. The adrenaline wore off and exhaustion hit me hard. I soon drifted off to sleep in the passenger seat. When I woke up, I was lying in a comfortable bed. Ethan's bed. I blinked sleepily, trying to orient myself. Looming directly above me was Ethan's face, watching me with an unnervingly intense expression. I yelped, sitting bolt upright. What are you doing? You scared me. You're awake, he stated calmly, though his eyes held a dangerous glint. He cleared his throat, his expression darkening slightly. I instinctively shrank back. Why are you looking at me like that? It's creepy. He surveyed me from head to toe. Lily, do you remember what you said to me earlier? Something in his tone told me this wasn't going to be pleasant. I swallowed hard. What did I say? He practically ground the words out. Old man trying to hit on a young girl, old cucumber. Pretending to be fresh. Not old. You're not old at all. I backpedaled furiously. You're mature. Mature men are the most charming. That's exactly what I like. Is that so? He murmured, leaning closer again, his voice a low, husky purr, warm breath ghosting against my ear. Then perhaps I should prove it to you. His gaze was scorching. Even if I hadn't eaten pork, I'd seen pigs run. I knew exactly what he meant. He wanted to sleep with me. Panic surged. I scrambled to escape, but he caught me easily around the waist, pulling me back down onto the bed beneath him, kissing me until my head spun and my bones felt like jelly. By the time I registered what was happening, my body had already betrayed me, melting against his. I made a token effort to push him away, then froze. Guys, down there. Help. I whimpered, though it sounded more like a sigh. The next morning, I woke up aching in places I didn't know could ache. My skin was covered in faint bruises, souvenirs of the night before. Especially my neck. That petty, vengeful man had definitely gotten his revenge for my earlier assault. I stretched languidly and wandered out of the bedroom. The aroma of breakfast filled the air. Ethan was already in the kitchen. He smiled when he saw me, beckoning me over. I went to him, wrapping my arms around his waist, rubbing my cheek against his chest playfully. Mr. Evans, I purred. If I offer bedside services, does that mean I don't have to work overtime anymore? He snorted, adopting a mock stern expression. Attempting to bribe your superior? That's a salary deduction. I almost choked on indignation. Seriously, couldn't get a break with this guy. Fine. If I couldn't win against him, I'd torment his niece. I grabbed my phone, snapped a quick selfie of me snuggled against Ethan's chest, and sent Chloe a voice message. Dearest niece, I cooed sweetly. Auntie has made breakfast. Want to come over and eat? Her reply came back almost instantly. A single emphatic word. Die. I could practically picture her fuming, smoke pouring from her ears. Giggling uncontrollably, I burrowed deeper into Ethan's embrace, feeling ridiculously happy. Life was certainly going to be interesting from now on. Definitely chaotic. Definitely fun. And